Calling to order the meeting of the Newbury Border to Boston Trail, December 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. I'm Martha Taylor, Town Planner.
John Hanskelfer, Committee Member.
Ted Russell, Committee Member.
And short two committee members, but we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. Now, the first item on the agenda actually was election of officers, but since we don't have a full complement of board members, I wonder if we want
I would think.
to wait on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will pass until the next meeting. Second order of business was an update on the project status. And I received this on Friday from MG, the project manager at Mass DOT, which was not much of an update. Basically, she said that the Stantec contract has been signed. And they're reviewing the scope and work hour estimate from Stantec. And they'll finalize the design. I guess once that's been reviewed and approved. But nothing about funding, nothing else about schedule. I had asked her when the contract actually had expired, and she didn't answer that. I did have a brief conversation with Lisa Pearson, the Salisbury planner, at a meeting that we were both attending last week. And I guess they also don't have any information. We discussed, we both thought it would be a good idea once the Stantec scope of work and all of that has been signed off by Mass DOT, suggesting that they hold a meeting for the four towns. Because I think that, you know, there are a lot of loose ends, especially as far as the funding is concerned. Since under the original agreement, we were not going to be paying any more than what we had agreed to unless we requested, you know, an extra of some sort. So basically, that's all I know at the moment as far as Mass DOT is concerned.
So remind me that the planning work has been done up to the 25%.
Up to the 25.
But the 25% review hasn't been held.
The 25% public hearing has not been held.
Public hearing, yeah.
And there were some issues that needed to go in conjunction with that. The environmental issues that we talked about,
yep.
Especially the turtle nesting habitat, and some of the other environmental issues along Parker.
Okay.
And also verifying, we never saw anything in writing that National Grid had determined that the line height was okay.
Okay.
You know, we heard it verbally, and then we were also told that there might be another issue with some horizontal separation.
Right.
So I don't know, Ted, if you have any other information from any of the CTC meetings that you've been going to, if you've had a meeting since.
We have, and hold on, I'm trying to remember what we had before.
Usually what, about mid-month?
Yeah.
We had, it was sort of a meeting, it was a letter stuffing party for our annual campaign, but you know, we talked about that at that meeting. The one thing is, I guess it's a little ahead of time because it's under funding, but I sent around my notes from our last meeting to the Coastal Trails Coalition, and Jerry said that you know, possibly the CTC could contribute to the funding shortfall that we had, the 2,700 that was discussed last time.
Okay.
So I just got an email from him about that actually. So
Okay.
I'll talk to you more about that and about how that could work. So obviously that would be a welcome contribution. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, other than that, you know, several of us attended the Newbury Port meeting last week on the Clipper City Rail Trail, Parker Street to Marshall. Other than Parker Street, that is really concerned.
Right.
So,
want to circle back to that, maybe at the end after we've
Yeah.
gone through the other
Right,
agenda
yeah.
items.
Yep. So,
That would be
yeah,
great.
nothing
Update on
regarding to
that.
the events committee.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
They know what you know.
all right. And then as far as schedule is concerned, I think that, project schedule until the Stantec scope of work and everything is sorted out, and, I think we really can't say anything to that.
Mhm.
We had talked for our own purposes of trying to meet now once a month if we can. And to that, I guess I'll bring this up. Tim Kist, one of our members was not able to come, and he's basically, I think his workload is such that he really can't attend during the day.
Okay.
I did ask him, if it's at all possible, I'd prefer not to add another evening meeting to my schedule. I did ask him whether he might be able to attend a late Tuesday meeting, like 5 or 5:30, since we work until 7 on Tuesday. Does that work for either of you?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that works.
swing
Okay.
that.
Okay. All right, so let's aim for Tuesdays at 5 or 5:30. I'll check with
Okay.
Tim to see if the half-hour swing makes a difference for him. And I'll check with Steve as well. I know he often has Board of Health meetings at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays. So we just,
You can walk from one to the
he
other.
could walk from one to the other depending, or he might prefer to keep them on separate days. But anyway, that would be great if that works for you both.
That was fine.
Okay. And other than that, I think we just have to wait on Mass DOT to sort of get a sense of the bigger schedule at this point. It's, I have no sense of what work is really outstanding, and how the dollar allocation has been gone. I know that we've been paying into the pot, but it's really been covering work being done in other towns,
Yeah.
so. Moving on to environmental issues, I was not able to try to contact Pat Puckery at Fish and Wildlife, so that's still on my plate. And I think Steve was going to contact Dave Taylor to see if he might be interested in
Right.
joining us or working with us, which kind of also comes down to the committee membership item.
Right.
And I don't know, I haven't heard anything. So I think both of those are unfortunately still pending.
And if there's any items like that, I could help track it down. Just get them all in the plate.
Okay, I mean, if you,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay.
So, and purpose of contacting Pat Huckrow, was that to discuss the
That was kind of to
internal
discuss.
litigation or just a
yeah.
general?
Well, kind of in general, and actually maybe that's a conversation that I should start with.
Oh, of
since
course,
we've got
yeah,
the-
yeah.
Yeah,
But I could certainly talk to Steve.
about
Yeah,
Dave, yeah, that would be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And the purpose of talking with Pat really was kind of twofold. One was about some of the specifics like the nesting habitat
Mhm.
mitigation, but also the other concerns about use of the trail, segmentation of the project,
Oh, yeah.
and things like that.
Okay,
And
right. And you said at the last meeting she was agreeable to using the portion of the Martinbirds on the west side of the highway, possibly for that?
on the southbound I-95.
Right,
Right of
exactly,
way,
yeah.
yes.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yep.
She had said that previously, if we
Mhm.
were to pursue the idea of connecting along there instead of going up Main Street.
Right.
So,
That's one portion of it, but not all of it.
right. So I think that I'm hoping that the Mass DOT project manager, MG, will still be, interested in pursuing feasibility study for that. But I think we won't know until we have the discussion of that scope. And National Grid, they were the two issues that I just mentioned. So I don't know how real any horizontal separation is. I do know that when we were talking to them about using the trail, in most cases, what they like to see is our proposal to do something, and then they'll review it, rather than giving us specs, like making sure that things are grounded or certain separation from the poles and all that kind of stuff. So even with respect to separation issues, they might need to actually see something concrete before they make any further comment. I just don't know.
They're traditionally kind of fickle in getting their attention.
Okay.
Sometimes they're there, like right off, and other times it can take months to get
Okay.
information out.
Is there a certain point of contact you have with them?
Well, we had,
Well, there was a guy named Steve Toll,
yeah, and Shannon Larson.
Shannon Larson.
But she's retired,
Right.
and I don't know what Steve was doing all. She was, Shannon was with the, sort of the council lawyer, and he was kind of in the group that, was kind of like mapping and layout and this and that.
Okay.
Was he in their real estate?
Yeah,
division?
I think so.
What was his name again?
Toll, T-O-W-L-E, wasn't
I
it?
think so,
Like
yeah.
this, like the silver?
Yeah. So,
But you don't really work with him anyway, you work with the town.
and then funding, if I'm rushing through this, just
No.
stop me. So I sent out the two spreadsheets, and as you saw, and John was the author of this wonderful thing. This-
Okay.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one's great. I still don't know how you do that. But,
Oh, yeah. For a long time.
it basically tracks everything on the one page and then goes back into the first page, the summary sheet, so it's been a great tool. And fortunately, every time I do it, it actually reconciles with the one that I've been keeping, which is a much simpler format, so that's good.
Yeah.
But as you saw, we are about a little over $2,700 shy of our initial obligation, which
Yeah.
was the $12,659.
Mhm.
And, the big unknown right now is, is MG going to come back and say, well, your obligation is now,
5,000 more.
5,000 more, 10,000 more.
So is that 2,700 coincide with the end of the current contract? Is that?
Well, I think really with the contract that ended, it was what we signed up for, with what was then Face offered in Thorndike. Now, I guess,
Is Stantec.
yeah,
They've been
consumed.
consumed by Stantec, as has been adding, so it's interesting that the engineer is working for the same firm that Jeff Wade works for.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So, so it'll be interesting to see if we're told we need more.
Right.
But, so funding, so we gotta dig up some dough.
Right, I guess the question is, well, just back to the scope of work. I mean, originally, the $12,659 was to take us through 100% design, and then construction was coming completely out of federal funds.
Oh,
So Merrimack Valley Planning Commission
Mhm.
deals with the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Fund, for this area.
okay.
And if you've ever had any discussions about this with Jeff, you'll know he's been very frustrated because there have been a couple of times when we thought we were going to get the Georgetown to Byfield Center section on the tip. They had some extra money at one point.
Okay.
And it's based on, it's based on federal fiscal years, and it's a five-year. I'll be happy to show that to you sometime if you'd like
Yeah,
to see it.
So they administer the
So they administer.
Mass DOT money for the planning or the federal funding? that goes for
Well,
that?
actually, in this case, both.
Okay.
Because the initial 410 contract was being administered through MVPC,
Okay.
even though one of the towns, Oxford, is not in their
Okay.
region.
All right. Yep.
But then they also, they've got the transportation picture for the entire region.
Mhm.
And put together the plan for
Yeah.
how the federal funds are going to be allocated in
Okay.
any given year. So there have been a couple of times when we were close to being on the tip, but
Mhm.
I think we're actually on, we got bumped once.
we were on.
And then
we got-
April.
And we got bumped, yeah, it was, it was Haverhill, and, I think it was Haverhill.
We the four-town
Actually, our portion, the Georgetown to
divider.
Byfield
Oh, okay.
portion. I think Salisbury has been on,
Okay.
is on, is there?
And so, I don't know.
So we say bump, that means like for a particular year, they decide what to work on and
Yeah,
make the decision, okay, we're just gonna wait till next year, or
yeah,
whatever.
depending on, where the project is in design, if there are things that are closer to being shovel-ready, then,
Mhm.
See, in a certain sense also, the scope of this project is kind of like, it comes out being just loose change, compared to a lot of the other projects.
Right.
And so it can kind of get fit in at the end when they've kind of decided and they see how much they had left on the table. And that was what happened that last time when we got bumped by Haverhill, which kind of then came in. And then, I'm not going to blame Haverhill for it. They had a definite need, and they just kind of trumped us on it. It was just the way it happens. So-
right, and then, and then the whole project got stalled as far as the design is concerned, and we've been stuck at the 25% for 4 years now, so.
Yeah,
Anyway,
So, that's it,
so how are we editing up this money?
right.
We talked about, I guess, Georgetown Savings Bank is now part of Salem, is it?
I think that's, I think that was the case.
Okay.
Did Steve say that?
Yeah, I think Steve said that. I'll tell you what, I'll look at their website and see if they have any type of grant process and such that we can apply to, because it would make sense with them because, the trail goes to Georgetown and connects to the Georgetown Trail.
Right.
The other idea we talked about was the idea of crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, and I meant to send you, it's Citizen Investor. I will send you that link. I need to check it up again, or look it up again.
Okay.
And then obviously a contribution from
From
CTC.
CTC, yeah, now we need to submit a grant application for that. I think in the past,
I'll
we've,
talk to Jerry. Yeah.
CTC has been very generous with us. I think they gave us the $1,250 for the legal stuff related to
Okay.
the license, and I think they also gave us an initial grant of $1,000.
Okay.
So, and I think when we did that, I just wrote a request.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably sufficient. But
Okay, so I could go
I'll
back.
confirm with Jerry, I'd be surprised if you have to
Okay.
make some kind of application.
So I can.
Neighbor to neighbor type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, the legalities of it, but Jerry certainly does.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you could check with Jerry, and
Yeah.
I will go back through my records and see what we submitted in the past.
Mhm.
Um,
Let me read his email, he just sent me a little more carefully, so.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Because I know that, mean, he had indicated that they
Okay.
might,
Yeah, so we have a meeting on Thursday, so,
this Thursday?
yeah, which I forgot about, so. I'll
Okay.
do that.
Okay, all right, great.
That was actually David Hall that brought that up, the chair.
Okay, all right, yeah, David's been a big supporter as
Yeah.
well. So I know that in the past, we had talked with them about the possibility of some additional funding. They, you know, they wanted us to be doing our due diligence. But I think that we have, you know, since then, we did get the, you know, 5,000 from the institution and other funds as well, so. And the way we left it with the Newburyport 5 is they indicated that they would be willing to support us further, but wanted us to be, you know, sort of providing matching funds as
Yeah.
well. So
Right.
I think that if we could, you know, any of these three sources that we just talked about, if we can get something active from there, then we could probably go back to the Newburyport 5. You know, possibly for any remaining shortfall, which
Right.
hopefully will be relatively small.
Mhm.
So that then begs the question of, you know, what else we might be on the hook for, but this will take care of the initial, at least.
Okay. All right, so I'll look into Salem Bank, Westport Georgetown Savings Bank is now part of it. You get us the website for
For the, yeah, the public
citizen investors.
citizen investor, yeah.
And Ted will work getting information about what we need to do at CTC and if we need to write a letter or whatever. But I think, you know, I'd like to see if we can, you know, if we can pretty much get what we need from, you know, a grant request from other than CDC. I think that'd be good, but I think
Yeah.
it'd also be good if we could then just get some additional funds, either from CTC or wherever, just to have for operating expenses for, you know, seed money going towards, you know, we need to pay for a feasibility study for the other section along, you know, up to
Right.
95 and so on. But
Right, I
think
mean, MG had indicated when we did talk about that before, that she thought it was an important thing to explore and would be willing to fund that, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's still the position.
And the other, you know, just, and we don't know also is, you know, is it just going to be this 2,700 that we'll owe?
That's right.
So being able to get some extra money would be a really good thing. By the way, with that, just to go back to that idea on the connector out to, you know, to 95 and up. Who was it? Was it Steve? Maybe a long time ago, I suggested the idea that we just talked to the state about they're putting in a small park and ride there. Because the one in Newburyport is so overflowing that they have some land there that they might be able to use for that.
Right, I think it's on, actually, I've been working with Tony Komornick from NVPC on the transportation element of the master plan. And, you know, both of you guys would be more than welcome to get involved with that. We're getting close to the end of it, but especially as far as the bike stuff is concerned.
Okay.
But that is on a list that he sent me recently with kind of a question mark. Christine had been working on that, and I thought that the final determination was that there actually wasn't enough room to make it worth it.
So where are we talking, like at the Scotland Road exit?
Yeah, it's right at the Scotland Road exit. The state owns a whole, I think it might be 5 acres at the southwest corner
Yeah.
of that intersection.
I think there's two like chunks of land that the state owns. One is the DOT owns right near the ramp. And then there's privately held land, and then on the other side of the privately held land is the,
Mark Burns.
yeah.
Mark Burns Annex.
But they think it's too small, that's too bad.
I think that's, but I'll check with Tony on that.
And that's, he's from the
Merrimack Valley?
He's Merrimack Valley Planning
Okay.
Commission, he's their transportation, head of their transportation planning.
Okay. What's his last name again?
Komornick, it's Komornick.
Okay.
And there are two people from NVPC who have been involved in the Border Boston project. One is Tony and the other is Betsy Goodrich.
Okay.
And she attended almost all of those early meetings.
So you talked with him in general about the trail connector from Byfield up to Scotland Road, or just specifically about the park and ride?
Both, actually.
Okay.
So I've just gotten a draft kind of goals and objectives
Mhm.
section for the master plan from him, which does include exploring options for that connector.
Okay.
Um, But, yeah, I think it was, I'll double check on that. But yeah, it would be nice to get our regional obligation funded, and as you say, get, some additional funding for, outreach or whatever, as this goes
Yeah.
forward, assuming that it does go forward.
Right, next.
So next, I think I sent you all the email from Christine.
Yes.
Right.
Her
Yeah.
official resignation.
Mhm.
So I know we've talked about seeing if Dave Taylor would be interested in joining us, but I think, it might be good to reach out and see if there are others who might be interested as well.
Okay.
We could put something on the website, we could put something in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Or we could,
Yeah, that's one way. The other way is kind of wait, do a brainstorm of who might have some needed skills
Right,
and time.
right, and
That
interested.
somebody knows,
Right.
just, it just might really, for me, but,
And one thought I had.
between us all, we know, quite a few people, so.
Right, right. Dave Taylor, obviously with his
Oh, yeah.
sort of environmental
Mhm.
interests, but also, wondering whether somebody from Parker River Clean Water might be.
Right.
Well, they would certainly, it would make sense for them considering where this trail goes.
Exactly, yeah, there's been a lot of interest on their part.
So who's heading up that?
Well, George Comiskey is the president now.
Okay.
But I've been working closely with Yvonne Boswell, who's one of their members and is on our stormwater committee. So I could discuss it with
And
her.
that's right.
And she lives very close, she lives at Mart Hill.
Okay.
So I could see if she would be interested, or if she knows anybody else on the committee, on their committee who would be interested. And actually, there's going to be the annual meeting of the Parker Ipswich Essex River group tomorrow
Oh,
night.
okay.
And I think
No, there's such a thing.
some of those folks will be there, so it might be possible to have some conversations. But I noticed on the selectmen's agenda they're actually meeting at the fire hall on Wednesday night. A little off schedule for them. Unfortunately, I can't go because we've got a planning board meeting that night. But I noticed that they are going to be, just acknowledging Christine's letter and her resignation. I was thinking it might be nice if somebody from our committee could be there just to, say some nice things about all the very hard work that she did.
Yeah, she did a great deal of work.
She did. So I don't know, since you worked with her closely, John, are you able to go? Or-
What time is that?
I think it's at 7.
7 at,
It's going to be at the fire hall, and here's the agenda.
On Morgan Ave.
On Morgan Ave.
Oh,
The-
okay,
the
well,
pri-
I can-
Yeah, the primary thing for them actually is they're going to be getting a presentation of fire apparatus evaluation. They've got a bunch of
It's a hot topic.
business and, very funny. Business and liquor licenses, and so unfortunately, this is going to be under correspondence towards the end. But
That's fine.
Here's the agenda.
I'd like to go, and I think I can go, I just have to need to check with everything. But yes.
And I don't know if we as a committee would like to put together something to send to Christine just to say thank you. It'd be good to have Steve here for that discussion as well.
Yeah, I think so. And yes, I think so.
And if they, the selectmen may, if you do go, the selectmen may have some questions about the status of the project and stuff, so if you feel inspired, you could say something.
Suddenly, speak Greek. No, I'm certainly.
At some point, should we have a kind of maybe a little more comprehensive prepared summary for
Well,
them? Or
I
We
think-
or a
had talked
discussion?
about, we had talked about actually trying to put together briefings for each, for the selectmen,
Mhm.
sitting with each of them,
Yeah.
just one at a time to
Mhm.
kind of go over what the project is and where it is and, and so on. And I think it would be nice to kind of start looking at that again in the future. Maybe once we get some money, we can work on the grants first. I think that's really going to be kind of priority.
Right, well, I
Right.
think also once, we really need to know from Mass DOT exactly what's happening and, where we're
Right.
going. So I think actually once we have that information, and that's either been disseminated or MG calls a meeting of the 4 towns, then I think that would be the appropriate point to
Mhm.
just do a little presentation to the selectmen
Yeah.
Yeah.
with maybe follow-up individual. As we've got, most of the members are new from when we talked about this before. I think the only,
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
I think,
I think
Jeff
Jeff is,
and,
and Chuck probably.
yeah,
'Cause Chuck was not on the board when we were being very active when this contract
but I
was
think
first signed, but he had been,
he's knowledgeable.
he's knowledgeable,
Mhm.
and he had been involved before, but Alicia and Damon and JR, it's really pretty new to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good thing to do.
Mhm.
It
Um,
all-
So what's the next step on finding out where things stand with the contract? Are you gonna, is MG the person to talk to, or?
She's the person to talk to, and I will say she holds her cards very close to her chest.
Okay.
Lisa Pearson said she might actually reach out and suggest that there be a 4-town meeting,
Okay.
so that, so that there is more than just my voice out there
Right.
saying, what's going on, please
Yeah.
give us some information. I don't know, whether you might want to talk to Jeff Wade and see if,
Yeah.
Georgetown might want to, say
Absolutely.
the same thing.
Yep, I will call Jeff. Yep.
Because I think, and right now, I feel like we're totally in the dark, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Who's the employed person now in Boston? Is still Davis?
I think it's Steve Davis and Nancy Merrill are still the 2 people who, let's see whether they were both. I think Alan Benson, is he their town administrator maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure. So, and I could also, I don't know if their planner, Ross Pogemeyer, is at all involved in this, but I could reach out to him. Bill Stillman had sent that email requesting, donations to purchase that one piece of land in Oxford so that the trail could actually go ahead as the route had been planned.
Talk about this sometimes I like to come by and just take a look at those maps that you had out last
Yeah,
time.
sure, anytime,
Yeah,
anytime. Yeah.
That continue because I can do it right away, and I have plans, but sometime I'll just look at stop and by.
All right, so next steps, I guess we kind of discussed a bunch of the next steps about looking into the different funding options and trying to get more clarity from the state. Maybe you can, maybe get a 4-time meeting to kind of get one larger voice talking to the state.
That would really be good to know. I'm very concerned when she says there are insufficient funds, especially knowing that, as I said in my email, I think, we're really sort of all paying for all things that we've been paying for work happening in other communities.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm very uncomfortable right now, not knowing.
Well, that's where, the last meeting, somebody suggested talking with Bruce Tarr.
Right.
I don't know where we are in the
Right.
state budget cycle, and I know things take time, but wouldn't that conversation be helpful for a lot of reasons? But so, assuming we're well prepared, but any
Right.
specific request?
Right. Certainly could be, and I don't know, as I said the last meeting, he's been a big supporter, his office has been a big supporter of the trail. I don't know if he knows any more than we do, but certainly.
I think we should kind of work it through, just first with the 4 towns and see if we can get, some information out of the state
Yeah.
DOT first.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's a little further down the road, but,
So, before we talk about the next meeting, we'll just pick up on the Clipper City Rail Trail, and sort of update on where that stands.
Yep, so I attended the, latest public forum on that at Newburyport City Hall on last Thursday. And so Jody Vining gave a presentation. Basically, as I'm sure you're aware if you've been to that part of the report lately, it's well underway. They're starting the paving on the stretch from Parker Street to Marches Hill. And they do a lot of the site work from High Street down to the water. The part, once you get to Water Street into Market Square is yet to be done. It's kind of straight, they kind of blocked off, but there's nothing going on, so what's there to protect anybody from. But anyway, there was a lot of concern from a number of residents, even though they've had, this is like going on 50 public meetings that they've had. The one part of it that concerns Newbury is the Parker Street end, because that little short length of the trail up to Parker Street is in Newbury. And the one comment was that it'd be desirable to have a couple of parking spots there for people to have access there, and that evidently the town, and I know we talked about this before, the town, I don't think that the selectmen or exactly who, but Newbury had resisted that suggestion. So just passing that on. I know just talking with Susan before the meeting, there's pros and cons of a tree line essentially.
Right, and as we discussed, there was a lot of concern on the part of the selectmen in particular about safety, and concern also if we open it up to parking, that it could be used by other people.
Yeah.
So there was no.
I guess I would just ask, the safety of having a couple of spots off the street versus people who want to use the trail parking on Parker Street,
Right.
which, and yeah, I understand somebody might park there, they use, MBTA, and, who's going to enforce that?
Put parking meters in.
Yes, yeah.
Right. The part of the where I've gotten involved with CTC is starting to explore the options of connecting the current Hooper City Rental Trail Phase 1, the Western Trail, the one currently being built. And Jordy, basically is kind of sketched out that, the most desirable route would be basically along Parker Street, the Newbury section, and then between the courthouse and the Road Speed Place,
Yeah.
and then continuing all the way to the trailhead near the train station. We explored a few other more exotic options. That one of them I thought was pretty cool would be to cross Parker Street, go along the old rail bed that's on the west side of Tender Crop, and then a bridge over Route 1 to the MBTA lot, which would be a trail that would be completely off-road all the way.
Right.
It would just, but it's way expensive.
Right, I mean,
It's not unheard of, there are places where they have, on the main turnpike, there's a place where the East Coast
Right.
Greenways goes over
Right.
the highway.
Bridges are expensive.
Bridges are expensive,
They are
okay, so
expensive.
I just had to pass that on,
Yeah.
because it would just be so cool.
Right, no,
But anyway,
I think the initial hope was to actually take it down there past Tender Crop, and then I guess it
Right.
ended up in the area where the trains kind of get staged.
The yard.
The yard.
Yeah, that was another option, would be to, go like skirt, basically, the MBTA would have to move one rail over to make room for a trail
Mm.
where one of those is, and then
Yeah.
you go into the.
But there's
MBTA lot.
wetlands issues, and,
Right.
I don't think they feel at all obliged anyway to even talk to us,
Right.
the MBTA. It's, it's too bad it wasn't kind of looked at when the whole commuter rail thing was.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so it wasn't really a twinkle in anybody's eye
No,
at
it's-
that point.
No.
20 years ago now.
So
Anyway, most likely it would be, connected along Parker Street, so that would be, some kind of phase 3. But that was not the purpose of this meeting on last Thursday. It was
Right,
only
right.
to brief the
That
public on
update,
the
right.
status of the phase 2.
Right, but going back to that connection, because we talked about that in our transportation working group for the master plan as well. And especially, I think that's where the most recent fatality was there. So in your discussions, was there any discussion, on Jordy's part about what might be done to actually improve the safety along there?
There was a brief comment at the beginning of the meeting, Mayor Sarnoff and Holiday started off, and either she or Jordy acknowledged this unfortunate incident, and somebody made the point that, regardless of any trail connection, that safety in that general area.
Yeah, the cars would be streaming off.
Yeah.
Well, the Enterprise
Yeah,
cars.
it's hard to
block,
see
you
around.
can't see anything.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
just
real-
everything's
it's a real
bad. I mean,
hazard.
parking around Kelly's is just, ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many places you're either back down Parker Street or State Street. It's just, the whole area needs to be redone.
Right. And, again, maybe at some point, if the state really did get serious about something they talked about 20-something years ago, of removing rotaries and redoing that whole area would be
Yep.
kind of, it could be a gold mine for fixing a number of things. Have to be on them for that.
Right.
Yeah, I
I
know
don't-
MVPC has been exploring that as well, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
it's turning out to be a very fruitful.
Okay. Yeah, so I've seen a map that somebody prepared. It was when they were building the new wildlife refuge headquarters, and I don't know why that. Well, it is because they were talking about connecting up the trails to the refuge, and for some reason they explored that. And so I have in my little presentation I made, I have their plot of how the traffic would be reconfigured there. I don't know if that's the same discussion you were talking about, this I think is more recent. So that's an update from that meeting.
So what are they, what's the target date for completion?
It's possible 2017, the end of next year.
Mhm.
I think that the contract or the master plan calls for it to be sometime in 2018. There is funding, set aside in 2018, but there's a possibility. I don't know if there's an incentive to the contractor or not, but there was talk that it's entirely possible to be done by the end of next year.
So, next meeting.
Yes.
So we're gonna have meetings on Tuesdays, is that the,
This needs to get one or two and, alternate them to
oh, okay.
different things, because you have trouble, your evenings are a lot of commuting out, and you're having evenings and not having a meeting must be very precious to you.
They are, they're few and far between, but, so that's why, I mean, if late in the afternoon on Tuesday works, that, we're here till 7, anyway, so.
So from 5 to 6 on
Yeah,
a
5 to 6 on a
Given
on a
Tuesday.
given Tuesday. So, we could either try to set a date now, and I could, send an email out to the others, or I could send an email out to everybody and see.
we're talking into the new year, sometime in January.
Let's see, well, today's the 5th, so if we went for another 2 weeks, that takes us up to the 19th.
Why don't we shoot for that? And
Okay.
if they can make it, that'd be great. And if not,
Okay.
then we can push it out
All right.
until later.
And if it gets to the point where we actually don't have, don't have much of an update, if I haven't gotten anything
Then we can
else, then
scrub
we
it.
just-
Right,
Yeah.
so what
Yeah.
happened, we just had a meeting.
Okay. So Tuesday, actually that'd be the 20th, sorry.
Right, we can come here on the 19th and wait for,
So, 20th at 5 o'clock. So I will just check, I'll check our website calendar first, make sure that nothing else is scheduled
okay, so this is tentative.
That's
right?
tentative, because we're trying to hold all the meetings here now, in this
Okay.
room,
All right, so,
if we
Prime time.
can, prime time. We also do have that one available, but the camera's set up in here, so. All right, so I'll check on that, and
Okay.
get back to you, so,
Oh, and also another thing for other steps that we wanted to look into, trying to dig up bodies for memberships and just
Yeah.
remembering there was a woman who came to some function of some sort of trail thing. I'm trying to remember. I think she lived on Orchard Street. I'm trying to remember her name, and I might have it very good.
oh, okay, all right.
She was very interested in what was going on, et cetera, but she had young children. Now, those young children may be old enough to
Yeah.
free up her
Yeah.
time now. So, I'll see if I can remember her name and dig through my emails. And we can maybe try to contact her.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay.
So, if that's it, motion to adjourn?
Second.